everyone, it's Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing Power Book 2, Ghost, Season 2, Episode 10, Love and War. Y'all. Like, I figured that, somebody was going to die this episode, but the people who died, You know what, let me just marinate on that just a little bit more. I'm going to get into it, but I wasn't ready. So, just to let you guys know that I had the pleasure of interviewing LaToya, who plays Diana, and we had a fun conversation. But I'm going to wait to post that a little bit later, since we did talk a little bit about what happens in the finale. So for those of you who don't have that on-demand midnight access, I'm going to post it a little bit later this evening. So make sure you stay tuned. Check it out. Once it goes live, I'll link it back to this video. All right. So, at the end of last week's episode, we see that Monet figured out who Dante was, that Dante was Mecca, and then Kane figures out that Dante is Zeke's dad. And so, Monet tries to convince him that they're all going to run away together. We know that Monet if she ain't one thing, she a liar. She's a liar. Okay, and she gonna lie and manipulate, twist, and turn, whatever she needs to do to save her own behind, all right? So we see that they're on a boat, and, Mecca gives her this diamond necklace, and then Monet sounded so fake. When she was like, you did this for me? And I was just like, Monet ain't never liked Dante, okay? Y'all can't tell me that she ever loved this dude. I'm trying to figure out how she even gave you the draws to have Zeke raggedy behind, because I just never have believed the chemistry, not one time. Every time that Mecca calls her Nene, it's just too much for me. I can't deal. But, when Monet started, being real was when Mecca was talking about maybe we need to chill out on killing Lorenzo. And she said, hold on, wait a minute. And so, Mecca's just like, I did all of this, so I turned myself into Mecca to find you, and I just feel like it's not the right time to kill Lorenzo. And then, he talks about Kane, and, I don't think I could really trust Kane, because Kane, stole his product to sell for course correct for Tariq. Then he kind of hints towards like, okay, they have this conversation. They kind of come to the conclusion, Kane should be the one to kill Lorenzo in order to prove his loyalty to Mecca. And then she was like, Kane's going to do whatever I say he going to do. And then I was like, sis, are you sure about that? Because history has told us in the previous episodes that's not true. And then Mecca even had to remind Monet, like, ma'am, your kids don't listen to you. They barely trust you. Stop it. Stop lying to yourself, Monet. So we see that they come to this conclusion that Monet's gonna tell Kane to kill Lorenzo. Even though I'm just like, now Monet, I know you don't care for Lorenzo like that, but it just doesn't make me feel like she's gonna really kill Lorenzo. Which we find out that she's really just coming up with a plan to buy time in order for her to be able to kill Mecca. So Mecca asks Zeke, they have a conversation at the hangar, if he's going to come with him. But he asks him like, hey, tell me one thing. Like, was Monet telling the truth when she said that she was with you the night that Carrie died? Now, we know that's a lie. But in Zeke, obviously something working in his brain for him to realize that she probably not telling the truth, because we know that Monet is a liar. So he ends up gifting Zeke the Porsche, and he tells him like, hey, you should come with us, but it's a one-time deal. So if you're not here when it's time for us to get on this damn plane, then bye-bye. We ain't doing nothing else with you, Zeke. Monet was right about, she is the only one that's actually trying to keep Kane out of jail. Like, when she's trying to manipulate him into having this conversation about killing her father, his father, and she's just like, look, like, I'm the only person that's actually trying to do all of this to help keep you out of jail. Your daddy ain't never once offered to make sure that you're okay. He handed the empire to Drew. Like, what else do you basically need in order to understand where your alliance should basically fall? And so I thought it was really grimy, and I'm glad that Kane kind of called her out on it. Like, Monet, you didn't ask me to do a lot of things, but like, kill my daddy? And it goes back to the conversation they had a couple of episodes ago when he was just like, am I your soldier or your son? And it's just like, Monet doesn't understand how to just be a mother. instead of trying to like incorporate her kids into the game. But what I had a annoying thing about with Kane was when, as soon as she said that, like, where is Tariq? You know, he killed his father. Then Kane was like, I'll do it. And I was just like, Kane, you really need to let, like, this hold that Tariq has on you. Because Tariq don't give a damn about you. He don't give a damn about you. He don't care about you. He don't think about you. Nothing. But as soon as she said that, I said, sir, okay, so Tariq gonna jump off a cliff? You gonna jump off a cliff too? Because it seems like you will. I really need this jealousy and this hatred that you have for him to just let you go. Hasn't hating on Tariq gotten you in enough trouble? Has it not? It hasn't? You haven't learned your lesson yet? I just didn't understand. So, I like that he tells her, like, hey, if I do this, like, Drew and Diana, they're not going to get over that. And who would get over, like, their sibling killing their father that they had no issues with? And so she was like, you let me worry about that. I'm going to take care of it. And I was like, Monet, the way that you keep saying, like, you're going to take care of your children who disrespect you, who lie to you, who don't trust you, you lie to them too and disrespect them. I mean, it's a two-way street. But, you know, I was just like, Monet, this faith that you have that your kids are going to listen to you, I was just really confused by that. So later in the episode, Zeke done behind. So Zeke goes to the police station. He goes to the police station, he talks to the raggedy detective, and he basically says, like, hey, like, are you sure that Carrie killed herself? And he was like, well, the doctor said that it was a suicide, so do I need to be thinking something else? Is there something else you need to tell me? Then he's going to be like, we have an open door policy here. And I'm like, sir, not after you tried to frame him for murder. I don't think it's that open door policy, especially with you. I was just really confused. But when Zeke was like, no, it's cool, and he just made his little face that he always make and left, I was just like, why? But we see later in the episode, you know, when he meets up with the detective again, he shows the traffic cam that catches Monet. And then Zeke basically lies and said that Monet was coming to pick him up. And so at this point, he knows that Monet was lying to him. And then he gets in the car. He has a very emotional scene where he's like, you know, I'm not even going to talk about it. I can't even make fun of Zeke no more because, you know, Zeke is gone. He's no longer with us. So I'm going to not be petty today. I'm just not going to be petty today. But y'all saw those faces that he was making an entire episode, and I just couldn't take it. Whew, okay, I had to get that out there, but it still wasn't being petty. All right, so we see that Mecca ends up telling Kane that he's arranged for a shipment to be delivered, and so this is going to be an opportunity for him to kill Lorenzo, and this is going to be the way that he's going to prove his loyalty to Mecca in the end. So he says that because of this, like, he'll end up giving him the New York business, even though he's going to run off with Monet, and he'll be able to do whatever he wants to do. But of course, because Kane just can't let Tariq go, he was like, well, man, like, can I just kill Tariq because Tariq still has the bag? And Mecca's like, well, you can do what you want, like, it's his time to go, but baby, I gotta make sure I get my bag, so, like, you gotta slow your roll. But, you know, when they kind of end up having this conversation, you know, when Monet goes to talk to Mecca, kind of fill him in on what is going on, she says that Zeke, Drew, and Diana, they're basically not going to get on them with the plane. And then we see that Mecca calls Tariq trying to get the bag. Why did Tariq answer the phone? He was like, what the F you want? And I was like, sir, I know that you got all this dirt on him and you trying to be bold and stuff, but, like, it was just too much when Tariq answered the phone talking to him like that. And the fact that Mecca just let all of that slide, I was just really confused. But I guess he's trying to get his bag. And so he told him where they were going to meet up with the bag. And so while all of this is, you know, taking place, after they figure out that it kind of seems like everyone's playing everybody, we see that Mecca ends up making a phone call to someone saying that his cover might have been compromised. We don't learn until the end of the episode that it's actually Detective when I saw Blanca show up, I said, oh my goodness, I gotta deal with her for another season. I just can't. She irked my nerves, okay, in Power. She was just too much for me. I was like, I can't believe that this was her informant, but it is what it is. So, after he does it, he goes to have a conversation with Nene, aka Monet, and then Monet ends up pulling a gun on him. And then it becomes this whole thing, and I'm gonna pause right there because I'm gonna get to the end, but I do need to talk about Tariq because I feel like I kind of went out of order with this. So let me just, actually before that, let me talk about Raggedy Rashad because I think they're still trying to set up this influence show, which I don't know how I feel about it. I'm gonna watch it and see, but Rashad ends up getting his winning, his whole winning scene where he gets to meet up with Steve, and then he meets up with, you know, what is his name? Weston? It's not Weston because that's what Brayden is, but y'all know who I'm talking about. So he meets up with them, and they basically tell him like, hey, you need to step down and you need to endorse Rashad. And so old dude wasn't having it, okay? He was like, I made it through the Me Too BS, and I'm gonna make it through this too. And I was like, not the Me Too BS and the Black Lives Matter BS. I was just really confused. Like, now he calling it BS. I was like, well, baby, I'm not feeling so bad for you anymore now. And so he told him, he was like, well, when you do your speech, make sure that you go light on the bronzer, basically referencing the blackface photo. But he was like, you know what? Y'all got me effed up in the world. He was like, go ahead and post your damn photo because after 6 months, they gonna forget about it like they always do. And he wasn't telling no damn lie. But they said that, hey, like, we can offer you possibly a cabinet seat, another position. And then when Rashad was like, and maybe you could be like you could be the secretary of HUD. And he was like, if Ben Carson can do it, you can do it too. I said, sir, you are doing too much right now. He had me cracking up this entire time. But he ends up agreeing to it. And then he tells Steve that like, hey, good luck. You're going to need it with him. But I was really confused towards the end of the episode when he told his brother Kamal, like, hey, sorry about what happened, bro, but I'm going to offer you the head of security for my team. And I was like, huh? Like, you really thought your brother was going to be okay with that? I'm just a little confused as to why you thought that was okay. But clearly we know Rashad is just, he going to F over whoever he got to F over in order for him to succeed. So it is what it is. Hopefully we'll see whenever Influence is going to come out. But I guess that's basically what they're doing with Rashad's character. So let's talk about Tariq, because there's a lot going on with Tariq. First and foremost, we have now confirmed that Lauren actually is dead. R.I.P. Lauren too. But we knew that she was gonna die because she just, you know, she went in too deep. Didn't even know what she was getting herself into. So Tariq is trying to call her phone. It's going to voicemail, and then Effie's sitting up here trying to act like she don't know what's going on in the first place. And I was like, woo, child, all of y'all need to do better about acting. But Effie, like, I'm mad at Tariq, y'all, because I don't understand why you would trust somebody like Effie who already screwed you over before. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why you were so trusting of her. I just don't understand it. So she's up here trying to play dumb and still doing some pick me, like, well, Lauren did rat you out. I'm like, girl, just let this go. Let Lauren go. You done already killed the girl. Like, why are you even still mad about this? He loves this girl. So he ends up asking Effie, like, if I get arrested, you know, would you go find gas for me? And then he was like, you know, you're the only person outside of my mom that I trust to do this. And so then she and her feelings again, like, oh, you trust me? And I'm just like, and you a dumbass for even trusting her in the first place. Tariq been making some really dumb choices. I don't understand it, but she agrees to do that. But, you know, he goes to court and he ends up finding out from Davis that Trace is actually supposed to be testifying. But they say, hey, if this happens, then they tell Saxe, like, Riley can actually testify to where I was. And then he tried to get out of it, but Davis was right. Like, well, you should have never put Riley, you know, to try to sneak up on Tariq in the first place. And you should have known that because of her involvement that she would have eventually been, you know, requested to come and testify in court. So that's your own bad. So he had to take that L. But we see that last minute, Jenny subs out Trace for Brayden. And I was like, bruh, I was looking shook. Davis was looking shook. Tariq looking shook. The rest of the court looking shook, but don't know why they looking shook. I was like, I know Brayden ain't finna come and snitch on Tariq. Is he really finna come snitch on him? And so Brayden, he walk in, he got his head down. I said, nah, homie, put your head up. If you finna be about that snitch life, then go ahead and put your head up. What you putting your head down for in the first place? So she ends up, asking him questions in regards to about dealing drugs. But then we see that Brayden is actually on Tariq's side, so he ends up taking full responsibility for being the person behind Course Correct. He shows the paperwork on how he's the president of Course Correct. And so basically, Brayden just ends up snitching on himself. But he can do this because he was granted immunity. So Brayden was actually pretty smart about this the whole time. But it looked like his daddy wasn't too happy about that because he ended up snatching him out of school. But I was happy that, Brayden, even though Tariq was doing some little shady stuff to him, Brayden was really a ride or die. So I was like, okay, Brayden, I see you. I see you putting that white privilege to the test too. But, because of this, Davis ends up asking for a dismissal, and the dismissal was granted. And so, Jenny was pissed, honey, because she already said, let me treat Brayden as a hostile witness, trying to get this to work to her advantage. It didn't work for her, but I was really confused as to why Sax thought he was going to walk up to Jenny and think that he was going to be able to say something to her without her being upset, given that she was already mad at him about the whole wire incident in the first place. So, I did think it was funny when Davis snatched them papers out of Jenny's hand. I was like, why are you so petty, Davis? You clearly about to win. What are you doing? He's just so over the top, but I love it. So Tariq tells Davis that, he wants to get custody of his sister, and he wants to get out of the game. And Davis just like, hell no, you my money-making client. I'm not gonna let you go. And he was right. Do you really think that the Tejadas are gonna let you leave just willy-nilly, like, hey guys, I'm gonna run off into the sunset with my sister, like, I'm done with the drug game? No, they're not gonna do that. So then Tariq tried to make it seem like he was gonna snitch on him, and he was like, well, baby, you would have to implicate yourself in the first place in order to get me in trouble. So what you gonna do, boo-boo? You feeling froggy? Leap, okay? And you gonna be right in jail next to me. You gonna be in jail. I'll probably be disbarred, but what you gonna do? So I like that Davis ends up calling him a killer. He gave him a little nickname, Killer. But I do like how Tariq was like, there's no such thing as a decent lawyer, after he told him, like, you'll make a decent lawyer one day. He was like, bro, it ain't no thing as a decent lawyer. He wasn't telling no lies. But we see that Jenny ends up finding Sax, and she tells Sax what happened to Lauren, that she actually died. And then she ends up blaming Tariq, but Sax had to remind her, hey, remember, Tariq had an ankle bracelet, so there's no way that he would have been able to kill Lauren. And so he ends up telling her about, he was telling her, like, you need to take the L, you shouldn't let this consume you, like, don't try to, like, find a way to get Tariq, because, I was trying to get his father, it didn't work for me, I almost killed myself because of it, because I planted evidence. But I think it was something really cool that she did say to him when she was saying that at the end of the day, walking away from this, like, that makes you an accomplice, because you know what all of these people are capable of, and yet you're on this side fighting for Tariq, knowing, like, who his father was, knowing what Tariq is capable of, knowing all of the people who have been hurt because of him. And I think that she did have a point. So we see that Monet ends up, asking Tariq, she had asked Tariq to kill Mecca, and he was like, hey, bruh, I ain't doing all of that. He told her about the contents of the bag, the fact that he knows that, that Mecca is Zeke's father. But she wants Tariq to come up with a plan him to come up with a plan to keep Kane on this mission of him killing his dad, but in order for her to get time to kill Mecca, so he doesn't actually have to kill Lorenzo, and so they can squash everything. But he says the only way that he will help her is if she allows him to leave the game. So they end up agreeing to do all of this, and we see that Tariq ends up talking to Brayden before he leaves, and he asks, like, what happened with Lauren, and he says that Lauren ditched him. So I wonder what's going to happen when he finds out Brayden's involvement in this, and the fact that Brayden knew and didn't tell Tariq anything. I wonder what's going to happen with that. And I also wonder, like, is Brayden coming back? Because they had him leaving Stansfield, so I was just like, what's going to happen with his character for the next season? I will find that really interesting. But Kane just busts up through they dorm, and I'm glad that he asked him, so after all of this, y'all still just not locking y'all door? Like, literally the question that all of us need answers to. Like, you're literally drug dealers, you have guns, someone had already planted evidence in your room, and y'all still just be leaving this door unlocked. I don't understand it. But we see that Tariq has a conversation with Kane, like, hey, are you, like, how are you with this? Because, like, I've done this, and you're never going to be the same afterwards. Kane is trying to play cool, like, I'm good. Like, don't you know who I am? Yes, we do know who you are, Kane, and all of your dumbass ideas that have literally gotten everyone on this show in trouble. We know who you are. That's why he's asking the question in the first place, okay? So, so we see that Sax ends up having this conversation with Tariq, letting him know about what happened to Lauren as Tariq is meeting with his attorney, who's confirming that, you know, they stopped the adoption with Yaz. And so he's trying to figure out what can he do to protect his sister, but now he has this information about Lauren actually being dead. So Sax goes to confront Davis about this, and I'm glad that Davis kind of got him together, saying, like, at the end of the day, like, you trying to place blame on me, we are both the same person. It takes one grimy person to know another grimy person. But he ends up asking him about, you know, his brother's case, which Sax is unaware of that it's his brother. And he basically says, like, yeah, I can get him out because it wasn't him who did it. The perp who did it was 4 inches taller, which is clearly what I've been thinking the whole time, that Davis was the one who actually committed the murder. But I think he pushed a little too hard, and we saw this conversation that Davis had with his brother. He was like, hey, be careful. Like, I'm okay being here at this point, but be careful that we don't end up switching places. And so we see that, you know, a conversation that Sax ends up having with Jenny towards the end of the episode, where he has become Jenny's informant. Her little speech got into his head, and now he's an informant on Davis, on Tariq, and on Kane. And I was like, Sax, you doing all of this for some ass? For some ass? Like, Jenny said she clearly don't see herself with you anyway. Like, why are you doing all of this? Why do you want to grow a conscience now? But that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out with Sax. Like, sir, you really think you finna snitch on 3 people, and you know how crazy the Tejadas are, first of all, and you know what Tariq is capable of? I just don't understand. But y'all gonna do whatever y'all gonna do to keep Sax on this show. So I've just learned to live with it at this point, all right? So, we see that, you know, Effie and Tariq have this conversation. She's still in her pick-me mode, and he has this realization, you know, after talking to Effie, that he needs to just let his sister go. Like, maybe because all of this stuff is happening, he talks about how all these bad things happen to people around him. Like, maybe he has to find a better situation for his sister. And so I was really shocked that we got to see Tasha come back. So Tasha and her witness protection, baby, when she heard them that car driver in the driveway, she didn't know who it was. She texted the little witness protection people. He was like, that is not me. Grab your bag and go. She went and grabbed that gun. And then we saw it was our girl Tamika with I was like, I'm loving these like colors that they're playing with on her. I was like, okay, Tamika. Now, the wig wasn't as late as it normally is, but Tamika was still looking good. And so, Tariq ended up making a deal with Tamika in order to have Yaz go to his mother. It was so sad, though, because he was sitting in the car and he couldn't, like, say anything, especially since she was asking about him. Sax had to remind him, you can't get out of the car. They can't know that you're here. And so, it was really sad that he couldn't, like, see his mother because she's so worried about him. And she told Tamika, like, don't underestimate my son. And she was like, trust me, baby. Like, she was like, my son gonna surprise you. She was like, yes, he already surprised me. Okay, honey, you ain't gotta give me no pep talk on what your son is or is not capable of. But I do love the letter that Tariq wrote to his mom talking about I have to get power and money in order for us to be together, but he's never going to stop trying to, you know, get back to his mother. So we see that he ends up meeting with Drew, and they come up with this whole game of the decoys in order to have Mecca's people looking at Drew, Lorenzo, and Kane while they give the real bag to Diana. So I think it's funny because he was like, make sure Tariq tells Drew, make sure she doesn't read it so she can have plausible deniability if anything were to happen. And I was like, why y'all get this bag to Diana knowing that she finna look in this bag, okay? If curiosity killed the cat, it's gonna kill Diana too, okay? So Drew tries to warn her. She said, I'm not gonna look in the bag. And I was just like, you just wasted your breath even saying this. Then Raggedy Everett texts him, and they have a whole thing. If there's one thing that needs to happen in season 3, Everett gotta die. He's so annoying. Like, I'd be here for their love, but Everett be so annoying. Like, one day you okay with him being a drug dealer, the next day that you're not. I don't get it. So after he has his whole little melodramatic argument with Everett, like they do every damn episode at this point, he ends up getting jumped by, I think it's BSGK. But then they realize that he doesn't have the real bag. They ended up working for Mecca because they didn't like how Lorenzo handled things with Keno. Kane comes in to save the day. But before all of this takes place, when they're following Lorenzo with the, as Kane thinks he's about to kill him, Tariq ends up telling him what happened, that he's not supposed to kill his dad. This is all a part of the plan. And so basically, you know, they get into a whole shootout. Tariq was like nice with the guns though. I was like, okay, Tariq, I see you shooting people. I should not be uplifting that, but like he was dope. But why did he go to Lorenzo like, you stole my product? Sir, just let it go. You said you didn't care. Just let all of this go. Because when he told Drew that he knew that they stole the product, he was like, I don't care. But now you want to yell at Lorenzo. I was just like, what was the point? What was the point? What was the point? Okay, so Tariq ends up going to see Mecca. But before all of this, we see that there's this really heartwarming moment with Diana and her dad. And I like how, you know, she tries to play out that she can look in the bag. We know she looked in the damn bag. But I like that Lorenzo tells her, like, you looking in the bag, that's what makes you smarter than everyone. You're always a few steps ahead. Which she is. I will give Diana her credit because she figured the whole stuff out with Kane before anybody else figured it out. So even though Diana be irking my nerves sometimes, I'm going to give her props where props is due, okay? And I did love that moment between her and her father as well. So we see that, let's go back to what was happening with Monet. So Monet ends up pulling out the gun on Mecca, and then he called her Nene again. I was just laughing because I was like, I couldn't even take this scene serious because he called her Nene like 15 million times. And I laugh every time that he does it. And so Monet ends up shooting him, killing him. Tariq comes upstairs. He sees the dead body, and then he helps her wipe everything. And she was like, well, hold on, you said you was gonna go. And he was like, well, bitch, I ain't got no, this whole dead. You could have waited till he put $2 million in my damn bank account. But clearly now that he's dead, I ain't got no damn money. So since I ain't got no money, then I'm just stuck in the game. So Tariq is gonna be stuck in the game. And honestly, I totally forgot it that, speaking about money, when he asked Davis for a refund, I said, sir, that's not how it works. Now, granted, you were correct that Brayden was the one who got you off, but you can't just ask for no refund after, like, he did do a lot of stuff for you. So I'm just really confused as to why he felt comfortable asking for a damn refund. So we see that after Monet kills him, she goes home, and Lorenzo looks shocked to see her because Lorenzo, dumb behind, goes to the hangar. And he thinks that Zeke is Mecca, which I don't know how you confuse the two, but you know what? He's never seen Mecca, so I guess I can let that go. Actually, no, he has seen Mecca. So how the hell did you confuse Zeke with Mecca? But okay, he had a hood on. Maybe he confused them. I don't know, but I'm gonna let it go. I'm not even gonna apply logic or reason to this. So Zeke's here, hop, skipping, and jumping onto the plane. He shoots at Zeke, thinking that it's Mecca. And then, did y'all hear him? He was like, ow. And when he fell down, I was like, even Zeke gotta die in a way that still makes me laugh. Like, why is he so dumb making these damn noises? But he ends up killing Zeke. He goes home. He's shocked to see Monet there. And she looked at him like, why are you shocked? Like, what's going on? But then Diana calls him into the room after Monet and Kane basically see that they good. Diana calls him to the room. They see that Dante has been murdered. And so he looking shook because they say he's murdered at the penthouse. So if she killed him at the penthouse, then who in the hell did he kill? Then when she asked the kids, like, hey, where's Zeke? And they was like, oh no, I ain't heard from him. Then after they're having a dinner, and then Lorenzo looking all shook and stuff, and then she gets a phone call from raggedy ass detective, and then he tells her that that Zeke is dead, and yeah, and then it just goes off. And so I don't know what the hell is gonna happen, but I really didn't think that they were gonna end up killing Zeke. I honestly didn't think that they were gonna kill Mecca. Like, I felt like Mecca should have stayed another season. Why y'all keep trying to push Lorenzo on us? I was okay with staring at Mecca for another season. Dang. Get on my nerves. I don't feel like they should have killed Mecca. That's just my personal opinion. I felt like we could have did a lot of things with him. But I guess everyone else is happy because when Sax told Tariq about how his dad would have never, went to jail or been through all this crazy stuff if he hadn't been an informant. But you know that Monet is not going to let this ride with Lorenzo killing Zeke. Like, ain't no way, shape, and form. Even if it was a mistake, he always been a hater of Zeke. And so it's just going to seem like he was just being petty and trying to retaliate against her. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but it's going to be all bad. And clearly Monet is going to be the one that kills Lorenzo once she figures out what happened with Zeke. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they can go with the next season. I really want to know what happens when Tariq figures out what Effie has done. I'm pretty positive that he's going to end up having to kill Effie, that Drew needs to kill Everett. Like, he needs to die. Everett shouldn't have made it past this season. I would have took Zeke over Everett any day. Any day I would have took Zeke over Everett. But I'm interested to see what happens with Diana's character for the next season, and to see what are they gonna do? Because, like, do they just take over as the distro, or how are they gonna find new distro now, because nobody has drugs to sell because their distro is gone. So I'm interested to see where they're gonna go. Did I love this as much as the other episodes? Not as much. I felt like the finale, it was fine. It was cool. Like, I don't have no real issues outside they killing my dude Mecca. Like, that just bothered me on a personal level. But because the last couple of episodes was so damn good, like, I don't know. I still feel like the previous 2 episodes was better than the finale. But I'm interested to know, what were your thoughts on the Power Book 2 Season 2 Episode 10 Love and War finale? Let me know in the comment section below. How do you feel about Zeke actually being dead? How do you feel about Mecca being dead now? And where do you see this season going for Season 3, which they are currently shooting now? But those are I was about to say quick thoughts, but this is another over 30-minute video. But make sure you tune in later today to watch my interview with Latoya, who plays Diana. But those are my thoughts on Power Book 2 Season 2, Love and War. I said that all wrong. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Power Book 2 goes Season 2, Episode 10, Love and War. Those are my thoughts on the season finale. As always, my name is Sharana from Pair Waits. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.